presented by LaShawn Patterson, Student Parent Assistant at Mission Del Paso, and Liz Olivas, the Mission Del Paso Tutoring Manager. This session will be recorded so that you may come back to it later if you need, and so others who may have missed out on today's events will be able to come back and watch it. Thank you for joining us today. So now, at this time, we ask that you please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, that feedback could interfere with the information we will be sharing with you today. So without further ado, here is our first presenter, LaShawn Patterson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be going over the Student Parent Resource Centers and Family Friendliest Campus Project. So by any chance, have any of you ever asked, what is a Student Parent Resource Center all about? No worries, I got you covered. Here's our mission. Our objective is to make sure that we're creating a family-friendly environment where student parents can study, learn, grow, and reach their goals while creating a two-generational approach by setting a positive example for their children. And one thing about that, what I want to further elaborate on is it's really a good thing when we have our parenting students on campus with their kids, and then their kids are also mentioning that it's their campus. Because at that point in time, the parenting students are pretty much saying that example for their kids, meaning that, you know what, if I can graduate, if I can get my degree, so can you. So here are some of the agenda topics that we're going to be covering for today. Number one, we're going to be going over locations, amenities and services, who are parenting students, family-friendly activities, partnerships, student-parent NSOs to include EPCC student-parent liaison and protections for student parents. Now, when it comes to locations and hours of operation, the good thing about our student-parent resource centers is that we're pretty much located throughout the EPCC College District, meaning we're located at Mission Del Paso, C123, extension 7168. We're also located at Northwest, L100, 8883 to include Rio Grande E116, extension 4424. We got our Trans Mountain campus, 1700, extension 5044 to include Valle Verde, A2415, extension 3246. Our SPRC locations generally are open from Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Now, our hours of operation might vary at each campus per semester, so it's always recommended to go ahead and call your preferred SPRC for any updated hours of operation. Now, right below, you're going to see a QR code. All you have to do is scan that. And the interesting about this one is that if you go to the search, you just input the room number, and it's going to provide you with a detailed description in regards to where each SPRC is located, which is highly convenient. Also, if you have any questions when it comes to our locations and hours of operation, you can also email us at sprc@epcc.edu, and we'll do our best to make sure that we answer your questions as soon as possible. So what are our family-friendly campus amenities? Our lactation pods and rooms at the ASC, the Academic Services Center. We have a pod in Building B, bottom floor, in front of the elevators. At Mission Del Paso, our pod is located in Building D in the lobby area. At the Northwest Campus, our pod is located in room L117, and the lactation room is in room M8. At our Rio Grande Campus, the pod is in Building B cafeteria. At TM, the room is inside the SPRC room 1700. And at VV, it's in front of the Flexitorium room AST 150. Now, when it comes to our lactation pods and rooms, you can go about accessing those locations the following way. One would be you can stop by any of the SPRC locations and we can give you an access code, or you can actually download the Mamava app and you can actually access the lactation pod that way as well. It's a real good thing to actually have the app downloaded because it actually allows you to actually input a review, which is very important to us because we want to make sure that we're providing the most effective services for you. We also have our sharing libraries as well. where you can actually, it's free books for kids of all ages. So if you see a sharing library, and if by any chance, if you're around and you see that the libraries are empty, just make sure to notify us so we can make sure that we fill those libraries with books. They are free books, like I did mention, and also we do accept donations. So if you have any books that you would like to donate, stop by any of our SPRCs and make those donations for us, and we'll be highly grateful for that. And at Rio Grande, there's two actually, in the cafeteria and the student services building on the third floor. At VV, it's actually outside of room A2414, which is actually outside of the Student Parent Resource Center. At Mission del Paso, we have two. One in Building R, it's in the first floor lobby area, to include in the community garden. At Trans Mountain, our sharing library is located outside of the Student Parent Resource Center, room 1700. At Northwest, the library is located in the library lobby, is pretty much in Building L. At the Administrative Service Center, it's going to be in Building B on the bottom floor by the elevators. One thing as well, when it comes to the lactation pods and rooms, if you are having any type of difficulty accessing the pods and the rooms, just make sure that you notify us, because we want to make sure that these are accessible for our parenting students. And what are some of the services offered at the Student Parent Resource Center? One thing that we try to aim for is making sure that we provide a good quality customer service experience for our parenting students, because pretty much we're trying to ensure them that we're providing a family-friendly space. So we're trying to make it comfortable, kid-friendly for student parents and children of all ages. We have computers and also printers for students to do their homework. The neat thing about us is that we have, you can print in black and white and also in color. When it comes to printing in color, we don't charge, so that's a good thing. And pretty much each SPRC has pretty much amenities, different things to offer, such as gaming systems, got movies, books and toys, smart table, and hands-on activities as well. And who are parenting students? This is a really good piece of information here, because 1/4 or a quarter of students at EPCC are parents, which is really interesting. And pretty much any student who is a parent and are pregnant, and students who are caregivers of a child as well. A community member who are parents and are pregnant who are enrolling or visiting an EPCC campus. And most student parents do not realize that there are others like them going through the same challenges. When it comes to that, Liz later on is going to elaborate. But one way that student parents can actually connect is through our student parent new student orientation, which is a good thing. And also, EPCC Family Friendly Campus Initiative aims to bring these students together and help them persist and complete their degrees. But that's pretty much the ultimate goal, is making sure that we provide our parenting students with services and resources that they need to succeed academically, which is in lead to their graduation.
Thank you,
And next, I'm
LaShawn.
going to hand it over off to Liz, and she's going to go ahead and further elaborate on our family-friendly activities.
Yes, thank you. Thank you,
You're
everybody, for
welcome.
being here. So yeah, the Family Friendly Campus Project takes on a lot of activities throughout the year at all the campuses. And of course, because this is part of us showing that we are kid friendly, we're student parent friendly. So we have a variety of things going on all year, things that will appeal to different parents, to different kids at whatever side of town you're on. So we do have campus specific events sometimes. So to just go down the list, the Mother's Day event, which is coming up next week, that is district wide. So you can go to any of the student parent resource centers, and the student parent moms are going to get a nice little treat. They'll get a tour of the Student Parent Resource Center, and hopefully they come back and visit us with their kids or without their kids. You don't have to bring your child with you when you're using the Student Parent Resource Center. We also have a Reading Power Hour. This is something that we've done at the Mission del Paso campus, and that is a 1 or 2 hour session where the SPRC staff, our lovely student parent assistants, will read books with the kids. They'll help them read on their own out loud, so that they practice those reading skills that are very critical to their learning. And then sometimes we attach a certain activity to go along with the theme of the books that they're reading for that session. So those have been very popular at Mission. We also have video game tournaments at least once a year at Mission. Um, and for our case, we do Mario Kart, but we can do different video games as well. That one has just been the most popular one. And we always have video games that are PG or G, they're family friendly for kids of all ages. And some campuses do have other intersession activities for the kids. I know they've been done at the Trans Mountain campus with great success, and we are looking to expand the intercession activities to other campuses because we know that it's difficult for student parents when schools are on break, but EPCC, we're not on break, so they still have to come to class, they still have to turn in homework, etc. So we try to have little activities for the kids during that time so that the student can be at the SPRC doing their homework, turning in assignments, studying, and then their children are there keeping busy, staying out of their hair and doing something that's very enriching for them. We also have the Garden Day at Mission del Paso campus, and that one is hosted alongside with the Garden Club here at EPCC, which is sponsored by a couple of our professors. And this one has also been very popular. We've participated a couple of times um, with the garden club, and the kids really enjoy growing their own little planting their own seeds, and then they can come back to the garden weeks later and they can see the plant that they planted start sprouting. So that's really neat for them. And of course, any student parent can go to all the events at any campus. It's not limited to the campus where you're taking classes or anything like that. You all are free to take advantage of all the events at all the campuses. Now, we also have the annual family friendly conference. We have hosted it twice now. In 2025, we did it at Mission and at the Northwest campus. Earlier this year, we had it at the Valle Verde campus. And coming up for 2027, it will take place at Trans Mountain. And what the Family Friendly Conference does is it provides presentations and resources for student parents and community members who are interested in enrolling at EPCC. And we want to show the city that EPCC is a family friendly campus and that we are ready to help and welcome student parents who are thinking of advancing their academic goals, right? Maybe they stopped coming to college because they were raising their family and now they're thinking of coming back. And so we want to welcome them with open arms, and we want to showcase all the services that are available for student parents when they decide to start or return to EPCC. We also have fun activities for children of all ages. We have activities both indoor and outdoor. We do have free lunch. We have free giveaways. Um, and it's really a lot of fun for the whole family. Every year it has grown. We're very happy to report. And so we expect it to just keep growing next year. And we're going to keep having it at different campuses to expose people in, different neighborhoods to what EPCC has to offer for student parents. And so speaking of fun activities, now I'm going to talk about some of the upcoming things that we have on our calendar. Like I said, we do have the Family Friendly Conference at Trans Mountain that will be in February of next year. So sometime maybe in December, January, you all will see the flyer for that. We do have the Reading Power Hour happening in June at Mission del Paso, and the theme is Ocean Adventures. And for this one, we are partnering with the Mission del Paso Library. So we're going to do some reading activities at the library and then walk down the hall to the SPRC and do some more hands-on activities there so the students and their children get more familiar with the campus. So we're really much looking forward to that. Like I said, we have the Mother's Day little treats for moms coming up next week. And then We also have the Mario Kart tournament, and I do apologize, that is a typo. April is over. It is in May, not in April. And actually, that event is now at capacity, so we are no longer accepting RSVPs for it. It gets very competitive, but we do have to stick with the capacity limit of the room. So we expect it to be a lot of fun and very popular. We do also have on the books a Father's Day event, which will probably be district wide as well. And then later on in the summer, to get the kids ready to go back to school, we want to have some back to school events for them as well to get them hyped up about going back and learning themselves, just like they see their parents coming back to school and learning at EPCC. Now, if you want to know what activities are coming up, if you want to check out the flyer, RSVP for the ones that require an RSVP, always check the My EPCC announcements. So you'll see our flyers there. You'll see the information, all the details on where and when and what you need to do in order to participate. Sometimes we do also post our flyers on the um, EPCC social media pages by marketing. If you are an employee, you will also see it in the EPCC community announcements for students as well. So you'll see all of our flyers coming up. So just keep an eye on that. And we definitely encourage you to attend, bring your kids, your siblings, nieces, nephews, whatever the case may be. And I'm sure they'll have a lot of fun. Now, on to a little bit more serious stuff. We're going to talk about our partnerships. While EPCC has many internal resources for student parents, we do also partner with community organizations to give students easier access to more services, right? Because we can't do everything on our own, we can't provide all the services. So it is a joint effort between the college, the staff, and our outside agencies. So, and these are just some examples. We do partner with United Way, and United Way provides navigators on campus, and they can help any EPCC students, staff, or community members with various social services. And we do have a separate slide for that so that you can get all their contact information. We also partner with Books Are Gems, which is another nonprofit organization, and they actually provide a lot of our book donations for the student parent resource centers. They have participated in the family friendly conference. So they're really a great resource for us to help us pass on books to the kids in the community. We also have a partnership with YWCA Childcare. If you guys have ever seen C Campus, that is the funding grant that helps pay for childcare sometimes. Again, it depends on availability, but there might be other services that help with subsidies for childcare. And just FYI, we do have daycare facilities at Trans Mountain and at Valle Verde. Maybe in the future we will have more at other campuses, but for now, those are the two childcare locations at our campuses. Another partnership is with EPCC's Office of New Student Orientation. This is something that we are very excited about that we have been able to launch. We offer new student orientation specifically for student parents, and I will talk a little bit more about that later, but that one was also a big undertaking that we have been able to pull off successfully. And again, it's another thing that is just going to keep growing semester after semester. Another partner is the EPCC Library. They collaborate with us on a lot of things. For example, with the MDP Student Parent Resource Center for the Reading Adventures. They are also always present at our annual family-friendly conferences. And it's really a natural fit, for the Student Parent Resource Centers who host kids on a regular basis and the library, because we want to make that reading connection with the children. Another one is EPCC Cares, which is our very own campus wide mental health clinical service provider service. They have also collaborated with us for joint open houses to inform students and staff about the services offered by both departments. And they also provide mental health tips for student parents because we know, student parents have a little bit more stress than your typical traditional students who maybe don't have children, don't have a family or those larger responsibilities. So the clinical service providers really do come in and help those student parents handle those stressors, find tips to study, tips on how to handle their stress, relaxation, all those good things. Another big partner of the Family Friendly Campus Project are the Student Success Tutoring Centers. So, again, to address student parents' busy life, the Office of Student Success does offer online tutoring on evenings and on weekends from noon to 9 p.m. And this is aside from the regular tutoring face to face, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Of course, student parents are welcome to use those services as well, but we know that sometimes those typical business hours don't work for student parents. They have to run around, pick up their kids from school, take them to soccer practice, whatever the case may be. So those evening and weekend tutoring hours do come in handy quite a bit. And I believe we had posted the information for online tutoring in the chat. Yes, Clara had posted it a few minutes ago. So thank you, Clara. That's the information there in case you're interested. And another example of our partnerships is with the Student Support Services Program, SSSP. And so, with this collaboration, they help us promote SPRC events on social media with the goal of reaching student parents who are first generation college students, because SSSP is one of our large grant programs, whose one of their main goals is to help first generation college students. So, those two services really do go hand in hand. And a partnership that I didn't mention here, but we did have this semester, was the Texas A&M partnership for the nutrition classes, and this took place at the Trans Mountain campus. I know it's on the fly, but I don't know if Patricia, if you want to mention anything about how that partnership went.
Yes, ma'am. So these are great little events that we have where they bring food and stuff, and parents are welcome to come in as well as staff and students, and they can, as long as they're over the age of 18, they can participate. And we will be offering them sporadically at the SPRCs. They're not available every semester, so you definitely want to keep a lookout on your email. And you can register for these events and get little freebies, and it's a really good opportunity.
Yay, thank you, Patricia. And yes, we did try it at Mission. It did not take off, but again, we will try here and there every semester. Maybe in other semesters, we will try it at other campuses. I know it happened for a bit at Rio Grande, so we definitely want to continue expanding, all these other services and partnerships district-wide so that students from all over the city can take advantage. So now I mentioned United Way. This is the list of the resiliency navigators and where they are and when. Um, and I just want to say that this is the second year of this partnership. We have a memorandum of understanding between EPCC and United Way. So this is a solid partnership that we foresee continuing, years on into the future. And these resiliency navigators help connect with mental health assistance, rent assistance, I know is one of their most popular projects, and even with assistance in paying utilities. So, whether you're a student, a staff, a community member, and you're finding yourself in need of any of these services, you can go on whatever day applies to the campus that is closest to you or most convenient. You can go to that campus on that day and speak to a navigator, and they can guide you in the right direction. They can help you fill out these forms for these various types of assistance programs, and they are really helpful. And they really do come in and help students out of a bind, because we know the economy is not that great right now. A lot of people are struggling, and we want to make sure that our students have as many resources at their fingertips as possible so that they don't have to stop attending school in order to, pay the bills, anything like that. So these navigators are really very helpful. So on Tuesdays, you'll find them at Trans Mountain, Wednesdays at Valle Verde, Thursdays at Mission del Paso, Friday at Rio Grande, And for Northwest, for now, it is by appointment, and the email address is right there. Anybody who needs the help can just send an email requesting an appointment at the Northwest campus, and they will get back to you soon, and you can schedule that, and you'll meet with one of the navigators there. Now let's talk about new student orientations for incoming EPCC student parents. We so far have done 2 face-to-face orientations and 1 online. They are a hit, so we are planning more for the 2026-2027 school year. And we do offer it in both modalities, in person and online, because again, we know that student parents, have different needs. They need a little bit more flexibility in their schedules. Maybe they can't come in for a full day during the week to attend the new student orientation. So we do offer them in person, online, weekends. So this really lends itself to the student parent schedule. We offer free breakfast and snacks, both for the students and the kids. And the really cool, unique thing about the student parent orientations is that we have on-site activities for their children. So they're welcome and encouraged to bring their children with them to the NSO, and then the kids receive little workshops, do little activities while the student is attending the new student orientation right down the hall. So, they're in the same building, they can keep an eye on their kid if needed. We have plenty of staff on hand to help the kids to keep them busy. And so that's part of why they have been a success, because they don't need to struggle with looking for childcare, figuring out where they're going to leave their kid, or only having to attend a new student orientation when their kids are in school or anything like that. And they also get to hear from other EPCC student parents, students that are already experienced, in the student parent life. So we have a student parent panel, which is an informal question answer session. The student parents give their experience on what they've seen, what they've lived, how they interact with their professors, any special accommodations, all of those types of questions. And the incoming parents can ask the students any questions that they might think of. And that really does portray the sense of them being welcome and accepted as part of EPCC, right? Because just because you're a parent doesn't mean that you can't also be a college student. And we also have information on other services that are tailored to student parents at EPCC. So it's really a great opportunity early in their academic career for them to get all the information in one location, and then they can register for their classes and start attending. So it's pretty great. Now, we also want to talk about our student parent liaison. So this is more the legal technical side of things. If you may or may not know that Texas state law now says that colleges must collect data on student parents. And as an addendum to that, we do have to have student parent focused state level policy changes. And these policy changes started happening in September 2023. So they're well underway now, going into its 4th year. And so, as part of these policy changes and these new laws, EPCC has a student parent liaison. She was not able to join us today, but her name is Carmen Garcia, and she's an assistant to the vice president for student and enrollment services. And here on the screen, you see her phone number, you see her email, and I'll briefly describe what she does and the laws around it. And for the students in the audience, if there's ever an accommodation that you think you need, you can contact her office and she can see how she can help, how she can make that happen. So these laws are all related to Title IX and sex discrimination. So Title IX protects students against discrimination based on sex. And the VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, prohibits stalking and domestic or sexual violence for all students, employees, and visitors. So it's really, it's an umbrella. It encompasses anybody that we might deal with here at EPCC. So if you're a student who is pregnant or parenting, you can consult the student parent liaison, again, in the Office of Student and Enrollment Services, for any accommodations or additional services. I want to share one example that Ms. Garcia had shared with us previously. She helped a student who was breastfeeding, find suitable accommodation for her to be able to feed her baby during the graduation at UTEP. So, they really go above and beyond. They make it happen if it's something that will facilitate the student passing their class or turning in an assignment, or in this case, even attending commencement, with their child. They might be able to make that happen. And you guys will also see this information, all the anti-discrimination statement, on all your course syllabi, or maybe you have already been seeing it. So next semester, if you're taking a summer class, or in the fall, take a close look at your syllabi and you'll see a statement that talks about non-discrimination based on your parenting status. And if you are an employee and you have any issue related to your status as a parent, you can call the manager of employee relations, and the number is right there. And of course, if there's any reports of assault or violence, that can also be reported to EPCC Campus Police, and the information is there as well. Now, for our last slide, I just want to show you guys, this is our website, epcc.edu/services/family-friendly campus services. That's a mouthful, but we have our QR code there. That QR code takes you straight into the website, and there you have all of our locations. You have the contact information, room numbers, phone numbers, email. It has a list of the different services that we provide. It has a student parent guide with a lot of useful resources for student parents. And of course, anywhere that you see this logo on the left, the purple one that says we are family friendly, if you see that logo at a given location on campus or on a flyer, that means that you and your family are welcome to attend or to use those services. Now, having said that, does anybody have any questions for LaShawn or myself regarding the services, regarding the student parent resource centers, or anything that we offer? You can raise your hand or you can type it in the chat. Okay, I don't think we have anything. LaShawn, is there anything that you would like to add?
For now, I'm just going to say real quick, thank you to LaShawn and Liz. LaShawn, if you want to jump in at any moment.
Yes, when it comes to the Student Parent Resource Center, one thing that I've learned is that it's very accommodating for parenting students. And one thing that I like is that when they visit our locations, their kids like it as well. And once their parents have that positive feedback, they're pretty much able to bring their kids back. And that's pretty much providing a positive word of mouth, which means that we're able to actually acquire more parenting students that are going to utilize our services, which is the ultimate goal, making sure that we provide them with services and resources that they need in order to succeed academically and graduate.
Thank you, LaShawn.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much to LaShawn and Liz for the wonderful presentation. If anybody has any questions for our presenters, please feel free to turn on your mic or to use the chat box. But for now, we would like to thank everyone for being a wonderful audience and for coming in today. Please remember that we do record these sessions. So if you'd like to review or share anything from this presentation with a student, with a friend, with a colleague, these recorded sessions can definitely help. We did share the Tejano Passport link earlier so that everyone may receive their points for coming in today. If you guys need them, please, or there you go. Thank you, Clara, for sharing it again. And before you all leave, I want to share our TVE sessions for next week. We'll be back next week with our last Happy Math Hour for the spring semester at 11 a.m., where both Math 1332 and Math 2412 will be covering the final exam reviews. Our 1 p.m. session next week will be on the summer reading programs and libraries. Thank you all for coming in today. We know that it will be a very busy weekend in the city, so we hope everyone has a fun, safe, and a restful weekend. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box or your mic, and we hope to see you all again for the Hanover Chill events.